Interface Video presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fairhope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and the Frankie Smith Funeral Home.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. I'm Paul Jasson, your host. Thank you for joining us, and as we get started, let me give a quick shout out to our good friend Jack Greathouse. I was gone last couple of weeks, and Jack was nice enough to fill in, and I was very envious because the Columbus Zoo is here, all the animals. It's one of the great shows of the year, and 2 years in a row now I've had to miss it because of conflicts when I'm gone and they're here, and I hate that because of the love of animals that I have. But Jack does a great job, and we appreciate the outgoing principal there as he's headed down to North Carolina. We wish him the very best. And Jack, thanks again for filling in for me on Fairfield Today. We appreciate it. And that love of animals kind of leads us to where we're talking about today. Back in February of 2013, anybody that's an animal lover, an animal owner, Amy, who we'll talk to in a little bit, got the news that no puppy owner ever wants to hear that there's something wrong with your dog. In this case, it was a sarcoma. Frankly, I knew about humans having sarcoma. I didn't even know that existed in pets, and we'll find out about that today. But for the next almost 2 years, a battle was fought. Eventually, Hank, the puppy, passes away. But so often, out of something tragic comes something good, and we have the Sarcoma Foundation, the Hank Cable Sarcoma Foundation coming out of that. All that is on the table today, and we're talking about that. Let me introduce my guest today who will bring us up to speed on all this. I have Amy Cable. Amy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us, Paul.
Oh, I first should introduce Hank.
Yes,
Maybe
yes.
I should introduce Hank. Hank is right here. He's right beside us, and we want to introduce Hank.
Yeah.
This is Amy Cable and Sherry Smalley, who is veterinarian out at the Fairfield Pet Hospital out on East Main Street. We'll welcome you girls with us today. And as I mentioned, so often out of something tragic comes something good. And as a puppy owner and myself, geez, I think I still grieve years later. I mean, I don't know that I would ever get over that.
Yeah.
And but for most of it, it's just that's all we can do is grieve, and we move on, and you get another dog, or you don't, or you just go on. But in your case, that wasn't enough. And if you know Amy, that wouldn't be enough. She'd have to do more. And so, because of what happened to Hank, you felt so driven to help other people. Would that be an explanation on this?
Exactly, and not just other people, but other dogs.
Yeah.
You know, when I lost him, it devastated me. You know, and like most pet owners, I went to a deep depression because he was like a child to me.
Sure.
Yeah, and so what I ended up doing is I kind of did the Eat, Love, Pray, that movie, and I traveled all over the United States. And I went to sarcoma conferences, and I went to canine cancer conferences, and I tried to educate myself because when Hank was diagnosed, I didn't even know dogs got cancer.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I need to educate myself. What is sarcoma? What's the statistics about dogs getting cancer? And so I traveled all over the United States and educated myself about it. And then I was like, what I learned is that dogs get sarcoma 5 times more than people do.
I saw some of the statistics, and
Yeah.
is that the leading cause of death among?
Oh, dogs get
Dogs?
1 in 3.
Yeah.
1 in 3 will pass of cancer, will get cancer, and 50% will pass. And so I was like, someone needs to do something about this because, there's always people, the second most common to get sarcoma is children. And everyone's going to be a child's advocate. Everyone loves children, but there's not, not everyone in the world is a dog lover. And I was like, so someone's got to be their voice. And that's when I started the Hank Cable Sarcoma Foundation. And our mission is not only to raise money, but awareness about canine cancer and sarcoma in general. And something that a lot of people don't know is that clinical trials in dogs with cancer help people with cancer. So, some people, when I start talking to about canine cancer, they haze over and they act like, why are you telling me about this? But they don't realize that, dogs that already have cancer, when you do a clinical trial and you use medicine that's been used in mice, and in the laboratory, if it works in a dog, chances are it's going to work in people. If it doesn't work in the dog, they don't go on to people. So it actually saves money in the cancer process as well.
Sherry, you're a veterinarian out on East Main Street, a couple miles from here, and you deal with this, not exactly this, but this kind of scenario a lot. Have you seen an uptick on sarcoma in animals, or is that something you've always seen?
We every day, we diagnose cancer in a dog.
Really?
Usually it tends to be the older animals, and that's why we recommend examining them every 6 months. We do a full exam, feel all their lymph nodes, check out their abdomen. If we find anything abnormal, we speak with the owners about it, and usually recommend something additional, either X-rays or aspirating the mass to see if we can tell what it is. If we can't, we usually recommend removing it and sending it in and finding out, because early prevention is really the best option. It gives us the most options for how to fix it, and it'll give the animal the best outcome.
Exactly.
Jerry Smalley's a vet out at the Fairfield Pet Hospital out on East Main Street, and there's a lot of jobs I can't do. There's a lot of jobs I wouldn't want to do, and you have one of those jobs, because for the most part, every time I saw my vet, it was always good. It was always, but there always comes a time when it's not that good, and I just think, even as a doctor with people, but I guess I feel it more perhaps with an animal, how difficult that is when you see somebody like Amy with a puppy or an animal of some sort, and you have to say those words. That is pretty tough.
Yeah, no, that is definitely not my favorite part of the job, is giving that, but I usually hope that there's something that we can do to give them that extra 2 years and give the owner that chance to be with them.
Well, with Amy here, Hank's passing was just the beginning. It wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. And now coming up here in less than a month is a big race out. And if you've driven around town, you see signs. I've seen billboards. I mean, can you get the word out anymore? I don't know that you can. I'm sure you'd like to.
Yeah.
But I've seen everything about the big foot race coming up. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So we're going to be having a 5K walk run, and it's on July 15th. And it's for people and dogs. So last year when we had our first year, I had people calling me and saying, can dogs come too? I said, yeah, it's for the dogs, And it's going to be, our registration is from 7:30 to 8:30. And then we have an opening ceremony at 8:30, and then the race starts at 9. And so that's just the beginning of the day. And then after that, we're going to have awards. We're going to have dog contests, wiener dog races. We're going to have the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office will be there. They have 2 dogs for major crimes and also for the Sheriff's Department. And our Lancaster Fire Department, who's featured in our upcoming calendar, is going to be there. And we also have different speakers, sarcoma survivors. We're going to have dog survivors there of cancer, different vendors, food trucks, things like that. So
something really for the whole family.
Yes, definitely. A whole day of fun.
Now, you've got several weeks here to get involved in this, but if somebody, I know you have everything online. You have a great website. You can give that address and talk about that. But all this can be achieved online. How does somebody go about that?
Yeah. So you need to go to the Hank Cable sarcomafoundation.com, and cable is Kabel.
Right, not cable TV.
Not the cable TV. No.
and then you could just Google. I think I first did it where I just I think maybe Hank Cable Foundation. And then it comes up. But there's lots of ways, and all the information is on there, and all the on registration stuff.
Yeah, everything's there for registration. You can also follow us on Facebook at the Hank Cable Sarcoma Foundation. As well, to try to see all the different people that's coming and updates, different people that's donating and things like that.
Yeah, it's a good website too. It's very comprehensive, along with not only the registration information, but then there's all kind of information like Sherry was sharing about what is the biggest killer of animals, what dogs. I know what I read, labs, that's one of the big breeds that get this, but there are other dogs that are more prone to this.
Yes.
Yeah.
What ones would those be? Do you remember?
It's usually, the labs, the Great Danes, the Golden Retrievers.
Bigger dogs?
Yeah, I'd say a lot of times it's the bigger dogs. Now, smaller dogs can get tumors as well, but I feel like most often I'm diagnosing it in the larger breeds.
And some of these I know are just like fatty tumors. I don't know exactly called. That would not be these necessarily.
No. So whenever we recommend the aspirate, a fatty tumor, which is a benign tumor, we call it a lipoma, has a pretty distinct look. Even if we see that and we suspect it's a lipoma, we still recommend watching it, and if it changes, we should remove it, because there is a type of fatty tumor that is more aggressive and is considered a sarcoma. So we'll always recommend that you watch it, and if it ever changes or you're concerned, then we need to remove it.
So now if someone would bring in a dog to you and early on in this sarcoma stage, you would catch that, what's the chances of recovery for this animal? Not good?
No,
Really?
I'd
That's
say
a
it's not
terminal?
something that we can cure. It all really depends on where it is, how much we can remove surgically, and then also the type of tumor.
Are they
'Cause
typically on the body of the dog?
They can be anywhere.
Oh,
They can be
okay.
any tissue, and so that's the
Okay.
thing is, if we can't remove it, or we can't get what we consider clean margins, where we get like a nice area where there's no microscopic disease,
Sure.
then we have to rely on chemo. But if we can get a good margin, then we stand a much better chance.
So again, you see this daily, I guess you say.
And like I said, the earlier we catch it, the better, because that increases the chances that we will get that margin that we need. Because if we catch it small and we remove it small, we stand a lot better chance.
And Paul, something I want to get out there to pet parents is if something doesn't seem right in your dog,
Yeah, what
go to
would,
the
what
vet.
would we see in a puppy that would indicate perhaps we're going down this road?
So for Hank, I didn't live with him. I was his aunt at the time. But the only sign that I saw is I stopped at my mom and dad's to walk him one day. And I remember he lifted his leg to potty and nothing came out. And I remember looking at him and thinking that doesn't seem right. But as we walked on, he did potty. And so don't ignore those signs. I mean, it could have been him marking his territory or something like that. But I didn't live with him, so I didn't see all the things, and I guess I didn't realize it, but my mom and dad had said that he would have trouble pottying when he came out of the kennel in the morning. But they thought it was a bladder infection. So it's there's so many things that are little signs that you just kind of dismiss. You don't realize it's something bigger. And he had just been to his vet's office back in August. And this was, when I saw this was around November. And he had got a clean bill of health. And so, I thought he was fine.
Do you think they just missed that, or
I don't know.
it's just not often seen, or
Well, when I asked them,
not that perhaps he even would have made a difference?
yeah, when I asked them, they said that it might not have been that big at that point.
Oh.
So when they did a rectal exam, it might not have been that big at that point. And so, but it's like, don't ignore signs. And so that was November, and on February 1st, my mom called me, and she said, Amy, Hank won't eat his treats. And for my mom to call the vet, I knew something was serious. They're, farming community, and you don't always go to
Sure.
the vet a whole bunch.
Sure.
And so we took him in, and I thought they'd come out and say he has a bladder infection, and they came out and said that he had a grapefruit-sized sarcoma. And I about lost it. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I didn't know, number one, dogs got cancer, and number two, I didn't even know what sarcoma was,
Sure.
let alone be the size of a grapefruit. But what I learned through all this is always get a second opinion, because we ended up going one place and they told me the only way that they could remove it was either to take his leg and half of his hip off. He was a 106-pound dog with arthritis, so we didn't know how that was going to work, or do radiation. So we opted for radiation. And just to show you how things work and how God works, is I was on an airplane to see my brother graduate with his wings, and I just happened to sit next to a vet. And I was telling her all about Hank, and she goes, what's the vet telling you? And I said that the tumor's shrinking. He's doing good. And she got a really funny look on her face. She says, when you get back to Ohio, you need to go get a second opinion. So I took him to Ohio State, and they took a CT scan, which is what you're supposed to have, not just a, finger, feel, and they said, Amy, this is the tumor. And they said, if anything, it's bigger after 15 to 19 radiation treatments. And they wanted to put him down on the spot. And I said, I will not do that, because no one could believe he was sick. He was lovable. He was happy. They were like, this is a sick dog. And I said, I will not put him down. I said, I'm not leaving here till you do something to help my dog. And so they ended up contacting human doctors at the James Cancer Center.
Really?
And the human doctors educated his vets how to remove the tumor, and ended up saving his life.
Well, it's it's just amazing how this kind of started, and such tragic news
Yeah.
has come out of that, thanks to the veterinary world for being willing to hear that and open up to that. Now, I know the Fairfield Pet Hospital, when you have your race here, they've got a lot going on there too, right? Tell us what they're going to be doing out there.
So they are going to be nice enough to come and volunteer their time to do initial cancer screenings.
Good.
Because that is something that I still have a lot of regret and guilt about, that I didn't catch that in Hank. And so Karen Blackstone at Fairfield Pet Hospital has just been so kind to set this all up for me, and to have her doctors come out and do this in honor of Hank. And hopefully we can find some dogs, that maybe there's something suspicious. Last year at the race, we were able to find a couple different dogs. There was actually one that I was pet sitting for, because I own a pet sitting business. And the funny part was I used to babysit for his dad when he was a little boy. And I contacted him. I said, Nick, did you know that Smokey has like a lump on his leg? And he goes, well, yeah, I know. And then when he came to pick him up, he said, this lump? And I said, no, this lump. And he goes, oh, I didn't know about that one. So I had him bring Smokey to the race, and they were able to diagnose him with a cancer on his leg, and they were able to operate and remove it, and he's doing fine now.
And Sherry, I guess, and we talked a little bit about this earlier, I guess the key here is, as it is in humans, early detection is better, regardless of the outcome. Early detection is better. So from this, we're learning what we should bring our puppies in, and this is all animals, not we're talking about dogs, but all animals. What, every 6 months? Would that be?
Yes, for younger animals, we usually recommend once a year. For older animals, we recommend every 6 months. We do our, what we're considering our cancer screening is we're doing a full physical exam from nose to tail, feeling everything, doing a rectal exam, making sure that if we feel anything abnormal, that we inform the owners. And then the next step depends on where we feel it. But some additional things that you can do to prevent your dog from getting cancer is to spay and neuter them at an early age. Studies have shown that dogs that are spayed before their first heat have the greatest reduction in mammary tumors. And then in addition to that, you lose the chances of having ovarian and uterine cancers because you don't have those organs anymore. And then in males, by taking the testicles, we also eliminate the risk of testicular cancer. So that's something really easy that every pet owner can do at an early age to help get the ball rolling on prevention.
So Bob Barker was right then. Spay and neuter. He told her this for 100 years on The Price is Right. And now it turns out more than just the right thing to do. There's a
benefit,
a bigger benefit from that. Why don't you give the pet hospital a plug out there, what your website is, what your phone number is, where they can contact anybody. Do you know that? Google Fairfield Pet Hospital. We'll do that because it'll come up from that.
And then our number is 740-653-7977.
That's pretty good just off the top right there. But
I just forget if the hospital's address is .org or .com.
So you probably never dial it. So you probably just *7 or something like that. We understand that. So we have Sherry Smalley and Amy Cable here. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to be back. Sherry,
actually, I have one more thing to add.
Oh, sure, please.
As an added bonus, for any animals that get their initial cancer screening from us during this event, the ASPCA Pet Insurance is going to offer a free or a 30-day trial on them for their pet insurance. So any animal that gets examined will also get that trial.
Well, you guys have been above and beyond to help it. Amy, obviously, she knows you're a great friend beyond whatever happens here with all this. So we'll look forward to seeing you out there or your folks out there and all that's going on. Are you giving the belly rubs too? I saw
we got a belly rub booth and a kissing booth. Thanks to the dog shelter.
I don't know how much Sherry's involved in that at the kissing booth or the. I don't know.
My patients get that on a daily.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an everyday thing with you, isn't it?
I love loving on my patients. So.
The best job.
Well, we're going to be back in a moment. We're going to stay here and talk with Amy. We'll have another guest on. First of all, Sherry, thank you for joining us, and best of luck out there and for all you do to help all us animal owners and everything you do. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you for having me on today.
You're on Fairfield today. We've got Amy Cable and Sherry with us today, and we've had a good first half. We'll be back with more in just a second. Welcome back to Fairfield today. I'm Paul Jasson, your host. Thank you for joining us. I want to thank the good folks here at Fairfield Federal, not only for allowing us to come in each and every week and broadcast from the kind of near the Main Street section of their large lobby here, but every Friday night down here behind us is the focal point of Lancaster on Friday nights with the bandstand program going on. Lancaster Parks and Recreation Department, the good guys, Mike Tharp and Steve Conrad and everybody there, plus with the tremendous help of Judy and everybody here at Fairfield Federal sponsors the bands that come in from all over the state to come in to join us. I remember a couple weeks ago, Bob and EJ were here with the Bad Influence Band, and a huge crowd on really a warm Friday night out here, but it didn't dampen the crowd any. I know in a couple weeks, one of the other groups that I really enjoy hearing is the British Invasion. They do such a great job. But this week, one of the groups, and you talk about local, you can't get more local, Judy Rare and the Community Band will be down here with their special patriotic performance, and we look forward to that. So again, thanks to Mike Tharp and the Parks Department and Judy and everybody here at Fairfield Federal for their Friday night bandstand. Been going on forever, and Ron Keaton started that a long time ago, and it's just a wonderful thing. Friday night, so 7 o'clock, Judy will bring the baton up and get going, and Judy Heel will be directing, Judy Root will be directing her last number here for this. So you want to see that. They always allow Judy to come in and direct, so we'll be looking forward to that. But that's this Friday night, the community band. So thanks to Parks and Recreation Department and everybody here at Fairfield Federal. Back to Amy Cable, who's with us today, talk about the Hank Cable Sarcoma Foundation, and we have a new guest.
Yes.
Why don't you introduce the big guy here?
So this is Todd McCullough, and he is the dog warden for Fairfield County.
Great job, and I've been fortunate, and so many of my programs come from the job that I hear at Lancaster Kiwanis, and that's where I actually saw Amy come in. I didn't even know Amy was involved in this. I've known Amy for quite a while, but I didn't know this was what she was up to now, and so I was introduced to that, which kind of brought about this show. But then Todd was there. I don't know, it's been a couple months ago now. Todd was there and gave a tremendous program on the dog shelter and everything down there. It's on Route 37. I guess, I don't know, is that across from OU? I don't know.
It's closer to OUL and Forest Rose. It's right next to Beaver Field.
Okay, right next to Beaver Field. It's the first building past Beaver Field right there. Not the dog park up there, but the first one there. And golly, the numbers you talked about and animals taking in the job you do. And I talked to to the vet earlier, Sherry. I was talking to her and some jobs I wouldn't want to do. Couldn't do your job either.
Yes.
Maybe physically I couldn't do it, but I know mentally it'd be very tough. I would think, I'm sure every dog would be like my dog, and it'd be very difficult, the things you see with animals. You see some horror stories, but then you also see some tremendous success stories, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those jobs, I get that a lot. You know, I wouldn't want to do your job, but you know, there's a lot of rewarding parts of my job too. So it's one of those things that for us, we love to be involved with things like this because it promotes wellness and health for animals in general.
And I know that's what you're all about there. We see some downside. Now, Amy, he's going to be helping you with the race here in about 3 weeks. Tell us what the dog department is going to do down there. The county is really helping you out.
Yep. So Todd and his workers are going to be coming out, and we're going to be doing lots of things. We're going to be doing low-cost microchipping. We're going to be doing the belly rub booth, the kissing booth.
And you do any of that yourself?
Oh, last year I did the kissing booth all by myself. Now
I was okay with Sherry doing this. I'm not sure about
Nobody requested a kiss from me, surprisingly.
They wanted the dogs.
I understand.
They all wanted the
I
dog
go
to
for the
demonstrate
puppy.
on
Yeah.
I get that.
So
they're going to do a great job for you.
And we're also going to get dogs adopted that day.
Now, I hear you're going to have a nice display and kind of show what you've done all year. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so one of the ideas that we've worked on for a while is a way to demonstrate how we see every dog over the course of a year. And it's, I think that outside of the organization, you don't realize that we look every dog in the eyes. We look at every dog as though it's ours. And we try to care for them in that way. So we decided that we were going to take our intake photos and over the course of a year collect them, and then we will display them so that everybody will have the opportunity to look in each dog's eyes. It's kind of a powerful display of what our community, just our relatively small county compared to some of our neighbors, what we see in the course of a year.
And I've enjoyed seeing some of the bumper stickers, but the one that particularly struck me is I love my rescue dog or something like that. You see a lot of that now. Rescue dog is kind of it's really a popular item right now.
Right.
People want to come out. You probably have people coming in every day just looking, what do you have here? What kind of animals do you have?
Yeah, definitely. We constantly change. People will. Do you ever get German Shepherds? Well, yeah. I can't guarantee I'll have some this month, but maybe next month or the following month. And we've had everything from your standard mixed breed lab to a Chinese crested, which is a really rare dog, and it's amazing the things that you see come through a shelter over the course of a year.
Amy, this has been a passion for yours for a lot of years now. You've moved through this, and you're doing new things all the time. And one of the things we're going to talk about here is I'll hold up one of the calendars here. Now, this is what, last year's calendar?
This is last year's calendar with the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a new one coming out that's not out yet. That's why we can't hold that up.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yeah, and that one will be at the race. That's when the calendar will debut, and it's going to be with the Lancaster Fire Department.
Very good. Well, you've got all the county people involved here in all this.
Yeah.
I can see you twisting some arms to get this
Oh, yeah.
done. I would
I
think
can
you're
be mean
pretty
if I
good
need
at,
to.
Well, I don't know about mean, but I think you can be very persuasive. So it sounds like at the race here down at the Fairfield County Fairgrounds, which again, there are banners up all around the fairgrounds. I've seen billboards up around talking about that. This is your second year
our second
for the
year.
race, so a lot
Yeah.
more happening this year
Yeah.
than last year.
Yeah, so last year, basically, it was just the 5K walk run, and then we had some vendors. But this year, we're trying to expand it. So, again, we'll still have the initial cancer screenings that we did last year, but we're also going to have the belly rub booth, getting dogs adopted. We're going to have the Lancaster Fire Department there, the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office, and they're going to bring their two dogs, which would be Car and Lily. We have one for major crimes, and we also have one for the Sheriff's Office. And so they're going to be coming out. Our SWAT truck will be there. Again, the dogs that are going to be adopted. We have some guest speakers, so we have like a dog trainer. My neighbor has a bed bug dog company where his dogs sniff out bed bugs.
Sure. I've
So they're
heard
going
of
to be
that.
coming, different speakers. We're going to have food trucks and lots of different vendors there that day.
Speaking with Amy Cable and Todd McCullough. Amy is with the Hank Cable Foundation, Sarcoma Foundation. They've got the race coming up here, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. And we've got Todd McCullough, who's the dog ward for Fairfield County. And Todd, I guess, any certain breed of dog you see more than another? Any certain big dogs, small dogs come into you?
If I said more than another, I would say the medium average dog is what we see the most of. And in terms of breeds, it gets really difficult nowadays to really identify specific breeds that we see a lot. We see a lot of mixed breed dogs.
I was going to say most would be probably mixed breeds.
Yeah. So typically, what I try to do is I try to just talk about dogs by their characteristics. A tall, medium size dog with long hair and black, and are descriptives. So overall, though, we see just about everything over the course of a year. It depends on time of year. Sometimes around hunting season, we'll see a lot more beagles. Sometimes in the spring, we'll see a lot more like farming dogs. It's just it kind of varies throughout the course of the year.
Now, in the last couple of years, I think the economy has turned around a little bit. Things have gotten a bit better. Has that helped maybe you not getting in so many dogs? Was it worse when the economy was down and people decided, I just can't keep a dog anymore? Did you see some of that?
I don't know that the economy necessarily was a deciding factor as much as I think it has to do with a continued effort in the community for spay and neuter, and some of the initiatives that have taken place to help reduce the animal population overall. Overall, the last 8 years, it's been a reduction of about 500 dogs a year. So it's really reduced a lot.
Well, that's significant.
It is. It's really reduced a lot. But we're still talking about bringing in about 1,000 dogs a year. So there's still a lot of work to be done.
So I think part of what Amy's talking about here, and we talked to Sherry the vet a little bit earlier, this spay and neuter thing, this is something that you're 100% behind, that she talks about, that you say is a great way to go. A lot of benefits from that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I would echo what Dr. Smalley said earlier, in that, the spaying and neutering of a dog can really help with cancer as well. We've had cases before in which we've had dogs that we thought were pregnant, and it turns out they had tumors the size of babies because they were not. So for us, it's any opportunity to be involved in a community health effort for dogs, we're going to be all in.
Well, I know Amy appreciates that.
Yeah, they've been
Amy,
awesome.
you've been doing this since, let's say 2013 when it all started with Hank, but you've been doing this for a couple years now. Do you have any idea about the dollar amount, kind of where you are on money?
Yeah, we have donated. So we are going to be donating to 2 different schools that are on the leading edge of cancer research in dogs. The one is Ohio State, and they're the ones that first helped Hank out.
Right.
And then, so to them, we've donated, I think, around like $4,600 approximately. And then they had a client come in to honor their dog that they had lost to cancer, and they had brought their new dog in for a cancer check, and they were so excited they got a good checkup that I think they donated like another $5,000 to our endowment. So at Ohio State, the endowment's for $50,000. So once that hits that mark, then research begins in honor of Hank for sarcoma. And then the second place that we want to start donating our money to is to Colorado State University. So after Ohio State told me they couldn't do anything for Hank anymore, he and I drove, the summer of 2014, we drove 20 hours to Colorado State. And the best doctor in the United States that operates on sarcoma works there. And they did an 8-hour-long limb-sparing hemopavectomy on Hank. So that is a new procedure.
Save a leg, I guess.
Yeah, that saved his leg and half of his hip, because the first place I wanted to take him to here wanted to remove his leg and half of his hip, and he had arthritis, so, and he was 106 pounds. That would be kind of hard for him to function. And so they have that new procedure out there that the doctor actually did. It's to help children with sarcoma as well, and they have a big unit out there that they do research to help dogs and children, because after dogs, children are the ones that get sarcoma, the second most common. So we ended up having that surgery, and then he had nerve damage that we weren't expecting, and I was like, I can't come home with him not being able to walk. That's not fair to him to do that. So we ended up living out there in a hotel for about a month, and they have a really good physical therapist who got him to walk again. And people, again, his name was Hank the Miracle Dog. 3 different doctors called him that because they couldn't believe that he overcame all these challenges, and, you know, with a smile on his face and always in a good mood. So we want to start donating to there, but they have more of a stricter policy on their donations. So it's something like, I think it's for there it's $25,000 a year for their endowment, but you have to do it in increments of like $5,000.
Sure.
So, you know, High State's good because we can, if we want to go up and donate $1, we can. Okay. But out there's a minimum. Yeah. So it's kind of hard because we also have to have operating funds to function and do the things we need to do. So, we don't even have that much to just donate right now. So
Todd,
hopefully as we get bigger.
Don't you wish everybody had an advocate like Amy for their animal or for their parents or for anybody? I've always said, as far as humans go, when they start to get older, everybody needs an advocate. You can't deal with this on your own. If you go in a nursing home, you need somebody there because you can't do it all. You need to follow up. But wouldn't it be wonderful if every puppy, every animal had somebody like Amy behind them?
Definitely. I really appreciate the work that Amy does for the animals of Fairfield County, and the overall initiative of trying to make sure that the animals here are healthy is ultimately the goal for us. And so to me, it's just another way in which somebody in our community is doing great things to further a big cause. Yeah. Something that's going to touch everybody. Yeah. So it's a great thing.
Well, she's doing a great job. Now, we talked about the calendars. Let me reach across here. Hank's also written some books.
Yes, he has.
I'm going to hold up a couple books here for you to see. Which one was first?
So this one is called Hank's Visit to the Doggy Store, and that was written when I was Hank's aunt before his cancer, and that was done at the Pet Supplies Plus store on Edie Road, and it's all about him taking a bath. He lived on a farm, and he was a stinky boy, and come Christmas and different holidays, the only way we were allowed to let him in the house is if he was clean. So this is the process of going to Pet Supplies Plus and getting a bath and becoming a good smelling boy.
And then he went on to write this one.
Yes, and then that one's called Hank the Miracle Dog, and that's his journey from the day he was diagnosed until his first surgery at Ohio State. And what that book shows is basically how when you get diagnosed with cancer, you learn to stop and smell the roses and enjoy every little minute in life that it has to give you.
Well, we've got calendars, we've got books out here that Hank's gone. I'd say you're getting the word out great. So give us some more details about the race. When is it? It's Saturday,
July 15th.
Okay.
Yeah.
At the Fairfield County Fairgrounds.
Yep.
I know you can register online. Give us the website again.
Yep, and so it's the Hank Cable Sarcoma Foundation.
KABEL.
Right.
Sarcoma Foundation.
Yep, and some other
Is that
things.
.org?
It is just the Hank Cable Sarcoma Foundation.com.
.com. Okay, very good.
And some other things that we haven't mentioned that we're going to do there is if you've lost a dog to cancer and you want to honor them, we're going to have something called a Banner of Love. And it's going to be something similar to what Todd's doing, but it's of dogs that people have lost to cancer. And it's going to hang up along the track of the fairgrounds, and it's going to have their picture, their story, and what kind of cancer the pet parents have lost them to. And generously, Company Wrench donated that this year, and it's almost a $300 value.
Very nice.
Talking to Brad Hutchinson, he's lost a couple dogs to cancer, so he gets what a hard time that is. And then another thing that we're going to do is have T-shirts. And on the back, you can put your dog's paw print and their name, and that's just another way to honor them as well. Because, something I've learned through all this, as much as I've grieved and missed my Hank, is it's bigger than that. It's, more people are being affected by this, so we need to honor all our fur babies that have gone through this.
And just another question as we get close to wrapping it up here. Have you ever had a puppy since Hank?
No.
No.
What I do now, I don't want another dog. He was my soulmate. But what I do for my dog love is I have a pet sitting business. And it's called Hank's Pet Sitting Service. And that brings me a lot of joy because I can still get my doggy love. And I have them either come into my home or I go to people's homes, whatever is more convenient for them and their dogs. And so that's brought me my joy back, along with the foundation and trying to make a difference in his name.
Well, Todd, we want to thank you for coming too, and the great job that service you provide in the county is wonderful. And again, the success stories, I hope, far outweigh the other ones, and those are the ones that you get in this for. You enjoy that. So rescue dogs are where it's at. Give us your information where people can contact your office.
So anybody can reach our office by dialing 740-687-DOGS or 3647. You can find us on the web. Our web address is really complicated, but you can basically Fairfield County Dog Adoption Center and Shelter. Google search or through Fairfield County's main page.
You can go on the county website and find you there.
Right. We're everywhere. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube. We're a little bit of everywhere, but we also are out in the community. So if you see an event, if there's dogs there, chances are we may be there. So always feel free to stop by and visit.
Well, Amy, you've got wonderful partners here.
Yes,
the Fairfield Pet Hospital, the Fairfield County Dog Warden is a big part of what you do and the job they do here in the county. So second annual Hank Run and Walk and everything going on down here in 2 or 3 weeks at the fairgrounds. You look it up, Hank Cable, KABEL. You can just Google that or Hank Cable sarcomafoundation.com. Would that be it?
Yep.
Yeah, look on there, and there's ways to help, there's ways to donate, there's ways to, like you say, put your name out there if you've lost a puppy, get involved. Tons of things to do down there. We hope for a beautiful day like this today. When you do it down there, that's what we hope for. So good luck with the second one, Amy and Todd. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us, Paul.
Sure. Thank you for being with us on Fairfield Today.
Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and the Frankie Smith Funeral Home.